Hello, and welcome to the second tutorial for Divine Prosperity. You should now at this point have all four transmissions, and as we did in the first tutorial, we will come around to those and practice with them. There's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about a little bit first, because I want to convey not just these really magical tools, but also just some tips for how to approach abundance in a way that should work better for you. And obviously, these tools help to bring you into a state of abundance consciousness, but I also want to give a little bit of an intellectual framework uh, uh, for how these things work, how to really live an abundant life. Um, and the first thing I wanted to get into is the question of abundance. I alluded to this a little bit in the first tutorial as far as how people often approach abundance, it coming from this kind of forced way. You're trying to use your beliefs and so forth in such a way to get what you want out of life. And not only does that not work, as I described in the first tutorial, but it also is counter to what abundance is really about and how it works and where it comes from. What makes us abundant is the fact that we are, at our essence, divinity, creating this experience of life, this immense and magical and many layered experience. And at the heart of all of that is this oneness. There is the one, the divine one, creating this experience through all of us. And so it's all just kind of arising together, and then we're interacting with each other through that arising. And part of the arising is living in this sort of illusion of being separate and cut off from the divine, from our own selves and our own source. And that's just the play. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not wrong or bad. It's just part of what divinity is creating. But within that play, and from within that way of experiencing ourselves and experiencing divinity, there arises a sense of a personal self, an ego that is essentially separate from absolutely everything. And from that place of separateness, there's a lot of suffering and there's a lot of lack. You're cut off from your own source, and so then you're just in a perpetual state of lack. And from that place, there's this desire to grasp, to grab from life what it is that you feel like you don't have enough of. And so that's what a lot of some of these manifestation techniques really play into, is this idea that you're this separate being that needs to figure out an angle that can get the world to give you what you are in such desperate lack around. And my perspective is a bit different. For me, abundance comes from the fact that we are all already one. There's the illusion of separateness, but the reality is that there is only the one creating all of this. And we don't always know what it is that the one is creating, what the one wants from us, wants from these forms that are walking around and having all these interesting experiences. But, we know that that is the essential reality, or at least at some point we get to recognize that that is the essential reality. And so for me, manifesting is about really coming back to that essential place, coming back to source, coming back to a lived experience of being the one, or at least as close as we can get to in this sort of limited capacity as human beings. And what that looks like in terms of abundant consciousness is surrender. We don't become abundant by tricking God into doing what we want, by thinking the right thoughts and believing the right things and writing the right storyboard and all these sorts of things. We come to abundance by aligning ourselves with the source of everything, the one source of everything. You become aligned with that, and then you are the source of everything. You already are, but in the illusion it feels like you're not. And so the way to get out of that illusion and to get back into that groove, back into that energy and potentiality, is to surrender all of your egoic desires and beliefs and attachments and agendas, and it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's a process, but it's a process that has a beginning, and it begins with the intention to start that process. And so that requires intending, desiring to surrender. Surrender everything that is actually getting in the way of your abundance. Surrender all these egoic agendas that are creating the lack that you're trying to get out of. It's a cruel little paradox, this trick that we play on ourselves as divinity, that we create a situation where our own desire for something is the thing that makes it impossible to get it. That's why people who don't need money are always getting money. People who are already rich, they can go and into a casino, and they don't care if they lose $100,000. So that they play from a place of just joyfulness. They're just enjoying themselves, and from that place of enjoyment, then they're in that alignment, and they might want to win, but they are coming from such a place of playfulness that they're not in lack, and they're not stuck. And so then the abundance can just flow very naturally through them that way. And so the way that we do that as people who maybe are not rich, who do perhaps have some money concerns that we'd like to have resolved, is just to go into surrender. Just let it all go. Trust that the universe has your back, and that even if you have difficult experiences, that those experiences are designed to help you in your evolution towards freedom, back towards the full embodiment of the truth of who you are, and that nothing is ever done out of by divinity, out of cruelty or abandonment or not caring about you. It's all crafted with an immense amount of love, and if you fight that, then you're actually blocking the love of the universe, and it just makes a lot more sense to let go of that and surrender deeply into what is true in this moment, and what the universe is calling from you. Like I mentioned in the first tutorial, I had a fair amount of time where I was building a healing practice, and I wasn't making very much money. It was very difficult. I had many years where I didn't know from one month to the next if I was going to be able to pay rent. And so it was very scary and very painful and difficult, but I knew deep in my heart that that was my calling, that I was on this planet to somehow find a way to make a healing practice work. And so I stuck with it. I surrendered to that. I didn't go into fear and just find some random office job that was going to alleviate my fear, but then also block this calling. And instead, I went with what I knew was true for me, and just kept with it. And over time, I managed to build a healing practice. So I got to do meaningful work, helping people, doing something that I enjoyed, that I would be doing even if I wasn't getting paid to. And it paid all my bills, and got me to be able to live life in an enjoyable way. And it's not making me a multi-millionaire, but I don't need to be a multi-millionaire. I'm not in such a place of lack that millions of dollars is the only way that I'm going to feel abundant. I just need enough to pay my bills and build a little bit of a nest egg, and be able to travel a bit, and I've got enough for that and more. So that comes from surrender. A lot of people tell me that they wish they had my life, and I tell them, well, surrender the life that you have. Just surrender, and all good things come. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about a bit. The second thing I wanted to talk about is a lot of people, part of the reason why we have so much trouble financially is because we have such issues around money, and we feel bad, like we feel guilty. It's almost like survivor's guilt. If I were to have money and other people don't have money, what does that say about me? Or what if I become like one of those people who has all kinds of money, doesn't care about anybody? There's this whole thing of money is evil, and it becomes really easy to believe that having money is the same as being part of the problem. And we don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be part of the solution. So, people get kind of stuck in this idea that money is a bad thing. And even if you, on some level, know that it's not, and you're trying to, build a life of, you know, abundance and whatnot, somewhere in the back of the mind, you might still have this, sort of background fear that having money means you're bad, there's something wrong with you. And I confronted this head on one day in a very direct way, which I had been noticing that I wasn't overspending, but I was under earning. People sometimes just can't get off the credit card. And for me, I couldn't get on the credit card. Like I was very frugal, but I was under earning, and that was making things difficult in my life that just wouldn't be difficult if there was more of an abundant flow. And I realized I have a very deep uh, value around health. That it's important to be healthy as much as possible. That means mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, physically healthy. You can't help other people to be happier and to uh, have a better life, to be healthy themselves if you're not healthy. So it didn't make any sense to me to if it doesn't make any sense to stay sick physically in order to help other people be healthy physically, then how does it make any sense for me to stay sick financially and try to help other people to be healthy financially? Like there's a moment where I just recognized, oh, fiscal health is a thing, and I am not fiscally healthy, and that is not helping anyone. Nobody is better off on this planet because I'm struggling to pay my bills. So that was a real sort of clarifying moment for me, and it's something I kind of wanted to convey to you as well as something to consider, that nobody on this planet is better off for you being poor, for you struggling financially, for your fiscal health to be suffering. And if you can really, get that on a deep level and really understand, like, that doesn't help anyone, least of all yourself. And there's no reason why you shouldn't be the recipient of love and of concern and of support for what you want in life. You're not getting anything out of being financially unhealthy, and so there's no point in perpetuating that as if that makes you noble in some way. Something to consider. And then the last thing that I wanted to get across in all of this is it's really important to come from a place of service. With all of the work that I do in life, I think of it in terms of how can I serve other people. And sure, I'm getting paid for it, but I try to make sure that my prices are reasonable. The prices are there to sustain me so that I'm not unhealthy financially and therefore less capable of helping people. It's just there to be a way for me to be able to live my life as well. And if I can live my life, then I can be more available to people to help them with their lives. So so I do charge for services, but the services that I offer are there to help people. And this can apply to anything. Like even if you're, say, a caterer, you are serving people so that they can eat in a celebratory environment. They can have a good time while you are serving them food. If all you love to do is party, become a club manager and manage a club and make every night a party and serve people through what it is that you love. And as you take on that attitude of service, then the universe starts to respond more to you. It's like if you're, think of it in terms of relationship, like if you are needy, if you are either somebody that you're just attracted to and you come on a little bit too strong, or you're in a relationship with somebody and you start kind of smothering them, as you grasp for things like that, the universe kind of is like, whoa, I don't know, this is some kind of needy energy, this doesn't feel good, and so the universe kind of pulls away. And if instead you're here offering, you're here in service, and you're not chasing them down and trying to get them to give you what you need, but instead you're in a state of service, then the universe is like, oh, that feels good. Yeah, please, I would love your help, and since you're helping me, I want to help you too. And so that's something that I've seen play out over and over again. I had one experience where I was just kind of recognizing I was sort of worried about how my practice wasn't generating enough money for me, and recognizing kind of the grasping there and the agenda, and I realized that I was sort of thinking of my practice as like a personal ATM, and I was getting a bit, I was having some anxiety that my ATM was running out of cash to dispense to me. And so in that moment, I just sort of said to myself, look, my practice is my service to the world. My healing is my service. And if that results in my making enough money to live off of, great. I totally accept that. And if not, that's okay too. But I'm not going to continue to sort of spin around in my own head around whether I'm getting what I need or want out of life, and whether my practice is giving me the money that I need in order to do that. Instead, just really dropped into service. How can I serve others? And if in serving people through one way doesn't make enough money, that's fine. I'll just find some other way to make money. So so I hope that's helpful. I wanted these tutorials to be helpful on more levels than just using the tools that you've received. When I do these workshops in person, I often talk about these things because I feel like it helps people to kind of drop into a deeper truth around abundance and how abundance can work in their lives. So, so that being said, let's play with these new transmissions that you have. We've already done the first transmission that sits in the Kundalini channel, and hopefully you've had a little bit of practice with that at least. And now we're going to go into the spine. And this transmission, I call it Knowing Prosperity. And this is where there's a, with all of our fears and dramas and distractions, it becomes easy to feel like, we're disconnected from that which can provide for us. And so, so this transmission sits in the spine. So you have the the Kundalini one, and then inside that you have the spine, and it just creates the sense of connectedness to abundance and a sense of knowing that you are connected and that you're taken care of. So, so let's play with that. Go ahead and take a few moments. Close your eyes and drop your awareness into all along the center of your spine. And when you're ready, you can ask or intend for that energetic, that divine prosperity energetic transmission to activate. So just intend for that to activate and see what that feels like. We'll just do this for a couple of minutes. You can also think of this as the don't worry, be happy transmission. And as before, just notice what it feels like. Align with it as best you can. And if you feel it bumping up against emotions or contracted feelings in your body, just notice and let that move through. If you feel like you can let go of that contraction or that fear or whatever's in the way, go ahead and do that. And otherwise, just stay present with the energy of the transmission as it does its thing. Okay. So now I want to go into the abundant heart transmission. This sits in the center of your chest, and if you know where your heart chakra is, it sits in the center of your heart chakra. And to me this looks like a ball of golden light that just emanates love and heart and compassion. And this has just a beautiful feel to it, and it has a secondary function that I'll describe in a minute. But first let's just kind of feel that abundant heart energy. Same as with all the other transmissions, you bring your awareness to it. And so go ahead and do that now. Close your eyes and bring your awareness to the center of your chest, sort of the bottom of your sternum, where your heart chakra sits, and ask or intend for the abundant heart transmission to activate. You can just let that feeling wash through you. It feels different for everybody. You might feel it move through your whole body, or you might just feel it in your heart. That is lovely. I actually started to trance out a little bit. Play with that. You can play with all of these. And the other aspect to this that's really lovely, and this is the biggest reason why I actually created a group on Facebook for those of you who have received these transmissions. And that is that the heart transmission, the abundant heart transmission, has a way in which it can connect to all of the other abundant heart transmissions out there. And this works by intention, so you can't just connect to everybody, if they're sleeping or just living their lives or whatever. But when a group of divine prosperity practitioners get together, and this can be at a distance, and decide to do a group meditation together, we can all just intend to connect our abundant heart transmissions together, and that creates this beautiful network that serves as kind of this gestalt of power. It adds much more of that juicy heart energy into the system. It actually makes all the transmissions stronger. All 4 of the transmissions become stronger when that heart network has been created. And so in this Facebook group, I have been setting it up so that there will be regular meditations that I will organize. But I also want it to be the kind of thing where anybody can, it's part of it, can say, hey, I'm trying to manifest something. I'm trying to manifest a new business, and I'd love to get a power up from everybody. And so, hey, who wants to connect and connect our heart transmissions together and manifest? And you might get 2, 3, 5, maybe 20, 50. We'll see how big the community gets, but the more people that are connected, the more powerful it becomes. And so this is a way that you can serve each other. You can be in community with each other and help each other build whatever it is that you're trying to build in your life. And this is also something that I think makes a lot of sense to tell your friends and family about this system. If you're getting a lot out of it, then you could get people that you're close to, that you see every day, to do these divine prosperity transmissions. And then when you're at home or when you're in community or you're out and talking with each other, you can you all have these transmissions, and then you can use them together to create that sense of heart and that sense of connectedness, and that's not just to each other but also to all of life. And then you get that extra gestalt that powers up all the transmissions and makes them all more effective. So there's multiple ways in which that can be used, and I am trying to set it up for you as best I can through this Facebook group, and there'll be information about that in the email that you got. And then also, I think it's a great sort of activity to do with people that you're close to in life, and you can support each other in your abundance goals. So that's the abundant heart meditation and transmission. And so let's go to the manifestation device. This is the fourth and final transmission. It sits in the second chakra. It also connects to the first and third chakras, but it's really rooted in the second chakra. So bring your awareness there. And the first thing that it does is it just sort of strengthens and harmonizes and opens the second chakra, just in a general way, for whatever might be needed. So let's test that out. Let's close your eyes and bring your awareness to your second chakra. And this is an area of the spine, just a little bit below the navel, if you don't already know. And as with the other transmissions, you can just ask or intend for this divine prosperity transmission to activate. And just see how that feels. And as always, there's no right or wrong thing to feel. Whatever you feel is totally appropriate for you, and natural and normal for you. So just feel that, and it might give you some pointers as far as where things are stuck in your second chakra. That can be useful information to have. And then the second piece to this transmission is that it can support anything that you want to manifest. It can help you to become your own best support for that by helping you to align your entire consciousness with that intention. And so why don't we try it? If you have something that you are wanting to manifest in your life, go ahead and think of that, come up with that, and maybe create an image out of it. It's not strictly necessary. And if you can't think of anything, one thing to try is, excuse me, need a little bit of water, is you can intend for an amount of money above what you're making right now to manifest. So let's say you make $1,000 a month. I'm sure you probably make more than that. But let's say it's $1,000, then you might come up with the intention of making $1,200. And so hold that as your intention, and intend for the manifestation device in your second chakra to activate and help you to manifest that intention. So once you settle on an intention, you can put that intention into the second chakra manifestation device, and intend for it to help you manifest that intention. So let's try that just for a few moments. As always, if you notice places where the energy of the transmission is bumping up against something, just kind of acknowledge that, notice it, and if you get to the point where you're ready to let that go ahead and let it go. And keep intending. There's one other bit of information that I wanted you to have as far as the manifestation device. And that is that not everything that you want to manifest is necessarily going to be the best thing for you. So the manifestation device will kind of let you know if you're trying to intend something that is not in alignment with divinity, with divine intention. Remember the first thing I talked about in this tutorial was around surrender to divinity. And that is really the source of abundance. And there's no harm in trying to manifest anything that you think you might want, but if it's physically impossible or just not appropriate for the path that your life is intended to create, then there'll be a sense of it just kind of not working. The manifestation device just won't really activate, or it will, if you're sensitive, it might send you a signal of error, broken, doesn't work, sorry. And if that happens, then just know that that's not the best thing for you, and surrender to that, and move on to something else that you might want to manifest instead. So if you haven't come back already, go ahead and come back from that meditation, working with the manifestation device. And that's it. That's the tutorial. We've gone through all three of the new transmissions. There's the one in the spine for knowing or being connected to abundance. The abundant heart transmission that doubles as a energetic network that amplifies the strength of all these transmissions. And the manifestation device that sits in the second chakra and helps you to be fully aligned and congruent with a particular intention for something that you want to create in life. So thank you for joining me. Please do join the Facebook group that I've created. It's there for you. It's free. I am a part of it, and if you have questions, if things are going on and you're wanting some advice, there's a community there, and I will be there, and we can all support you and support each other. So please make use of that resource if at all possible. And otherwise, I wish you many blessings, and I look forward to hearing about what amazing successes you've had now that you've got some help in building abundance in your life. So many blessings, and take care. Thank you.